Okay, this is my audience. Okay, now hold this, please. All right. According to insurance statistics, distracted drivers are responsible for almost 80% of all car crashes in the United States. A study provided by USA Today in 2010 showed that 3,900 people died as a result of distracted driving, and more than half of those were teenagers. I, having been hit by a driver who was texting, think that more precautionary measures need to be taken to prevent further incidences. This is becoming a trend more and more as our generation, the first to grow up with cell phones and a lot more mobile technology, are moving from the passenger seat to behind the wheel. We need to realize that this problem is growing, how it is growing, and what we can do to stop it. Well, who is responsible for this? Who can make the change, and how can we decrease those numbers? Well, companies, individuals, and the government are all playing a role in reducing the numbers of distractions available to you while driving. While the accessibility of mobile electronics is becoming easier and more common, comes the growth in usage. The Wireless Industry Trade Organization did a study that showed from 2005 to 2008, we sent and received 9.8 billion text messages, and then in 2008 we sent and received 110.4 billion text messages. According to USA Today, in 2010, 3,900 people lost their lives due to distracted driving. Of those 3,900 people, a whopping 55% of them were teenagers. But teenagers aren't the only one to be concerned about. It's those who are more comfortable driving that we have to look out for. Although studies have shown that more texting and driving instances occur with teenagers, your level of distraction is not determined by your age. A USA Today article entitled "Texting and Driving Must Become as Unacceptable as Drunk Driving," and Time to Put the Brakes on Texting and Driving, said that until we get to the point where our behavior is seen as just as shameful as drunk driving, the passengers feel that it is their duty to object, this problem will not go away. Jacob Masters of the Brain Injury Society said that texting while driving is the equivalent of drinking 4 beers. Julius Janichowski of USA Today found that in test settings, drunk drivers had faster response than those drivers who were reading a text message or sending a text message. Well, with USA Today's study proving that 55% of distracted drivers, or that accidents caused by teenagers were due to distracted driving, we cannot forget about those 45%. Texting and driving commercials are geared so much toward teens that we forget about those who aren't as skilled at texting, let alone behind the wheel. Precautions need to be taken far beyond just new drivers. I can't tell you how many times I've looked over at the person next to me on the highway and seen them texting and being an adult with a child in the passenger seat. Everyone needs to be targeted in these campaigns to ban cell phone usage on the roadway. Cell phones are becoming cheaper as technology advances, and with those lower prices, we see more markets having availability to these devices, which is why you and I have grown up with cell phones in our hands. Over the last 5 years since the iPhone was released, we have seen more purposes and functions for our mobile devices, such as GPS usage. We don't use those units that are mounted into our cars anymore, or those Garmin units that used to stick onto our windows, because it's much more convenient to use your cell phone. You no longer have to carry your laptop around with you, because when you send and receive emails, you're connected with the world constantly. Mr. Janichowski continues to say that today we rely heavily on our mobile devices to check emails, to stay in touch with friends, and to check the latest news scores, the news updates, and sports scores. We use apps to monitor and to check our health and our education, to manage our smart appliances. These mobile marvels create new opportunities, but they also create new challenges, and texting and driving is one of them. Also, as a generation that grew up with cell phones glued to our hands and have started driving, that translates into an increase in accidents. We use our cell phones for more than ever since we have eliminated those devices in the past few years. Take music, for example. We now use Pandora to stream music, which has taken over the radio and has caused the extinction of the iPod. Our social media. Social media allows us to constantly be connected with the world, but updating our Twitter status isn't as important as preventing someone from arriving to their destination safely. Well, with that solution, what is the solution to this problem? Banning cell phone usage on the road entirely. The problem needs to be stopped in its tracks, and that involves you taking action. School districts across Texas have placed bans not only on texting while in a school zone, but handling mobile devices, period, in the school zone hours. If that is not the case in your district, then you or your child needs to talk to the school board about that. Deborah Hersman, a board member of the National Transportation Safety Committee, has said that it is time for us all to stand up for safety by turning off our electronic devices when driving. You can also download one of the many apps that insurance companies or cell phone providers have that can lock you or your child's device while the car is in motion. Andrew Lavilli, who's a writer for the firm Race to End Texting and Driving for the Wall Street Journal, said that the Safety Driving Corp is building a system that takes over cell phone displays when the owner starts driving. Calls and text messages are received but cannot be accessed through the user, but the user can make emergency calls. The system includes an electronic key that is installed in the car and emits a Bluetooth signal that disables the keypad while the car is running and the driver is driving. Mr. Janikowski said that AT&T has a new mobile app called Drive Mode, and that prevents incoming telephone calls or text messages while driving. At the same time, sending auto reply notifications to anyone trying to contact the driver. Sprint and T-Mobile also offer services that automatically disable text messages, but when a cell phone is moving the car in a car-like speed. So we have these capabilities and options available to us, but it's up to us to make them effective. Additionally, many cities already have petitions to make mobile device usage banned while on the roadway. Go to your local city official and see if there's any way that you can get involved and sign the petition. Along with that comes the ability to prevent others from using their cell phones behind the wheel. Many parents and children alike don't think that it's that big of a deal. You're just checking to see if your flight's on time or if your meeting's been moved. Ask your school district to speak to students about these topics, or even better yet, if you could take an extra 15 minutes at the end of your PTA meeting to address the issue with parents, spark the conversation with their kids. Talk to your local city official and see if there's any way that you can get involved in making these changes. And lastly, inform your child of the dangers and the consequences of distracting and driving. It is so much easier to stop the problem before it happens than to break the habit. So 3,901. That could be your number on the death toll of teens who have lost their lives due to texting and driving. Well, we have seen companies pour millions of dollars into campaigns and app development to prevent distractions while driving, but that money means nothing if you let the death toll continue to rise. You can't put an emoji on your headstone, so don't let that be your reason for one. That was so